You're listening to the Baumbastic Podcast with Andrew Ellis on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Baumbastic Podcast presented by Inside Arkansas and hosted by Andrew Ellis. We are coming in the middle of Arkansas's series finale against the Missouri Tigers. The Hogs currently have a 12-2 lead. Usually I do these things right after the conclusion of the series finale, but frankly, I'm probably like a lot of you guys where I was getting a little bit bored watching some of these very lopsided games take place here. We felt like the Hogs had the advantage in this series and would take care of business in this game, and they have certainly done that. They have lived up to all the expectations, and Missouri has lived up to the hype in terms of being the worst team in the SEC, probably the worst team remaining on Arkansas' schedule, and that includes the midweeks and all that. And so it's been a little bit ugly, been a little bit, tough to watch even at times. Like I've seen a few people saying that, their wives or their girlfriends or whoever are like feeling bad for Missouri. I kind of feel that way. I don't feel bad for Missouri, but I know my girl Hillary, she's not really thrilled about it. But listen, this is what you got to do. Sometimes you got to, you got to pick on the little kid a little bit. You play the teams on your schedule, and Arkansas has played the team on their schedule this weekend and put up some numbers, man. Put up some gaudy numbers. I will say, Missouri came into this weekend 0-9 in the SEC. It hasn't always looked like this. Now, they did give up 40 runs against, I believe it was Ole Miss. LSU scored 29 against them. I believe Texas also scored 29 runs in 3 games. But, there was at least some competitive games in there. There was, a 7-6 against LSU. I think Texas even had them a 7-4, 7-5 type of game. And so it's not like they just every single time get worked, like this. It's not a run rule every single time. But this weekend, man, you sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. This is a very, very obvious hammer nail situation. So, listen, there's 2 innings left in this game. We're now moving to the top of the 6th inning. I'm being told by my guy Garrett McCollum here. Oh, he's saying that it's a Cole Gibbler sighting, and so I'm going to take his word for it. I guess my stream's a little bit behind. So, we've done some bombastic watch-alongs. We're watching the games together. We did that for opening day, of course. Did it for a midweek game or 2. This is kind of a little bit of a hybrid where it's like our usual end-of-series recap is after the game. But I figured, why sit around and wait and then make this stream start at 7:30 and then end at 8:39? Figured we could go ahead and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And so it's going to be a little bit of a laid-back edition of the Baumbastic Podcast, honestly, because there's not much to really talk about. I mean, this is an ass open, but of course, as always, I'm here to answer all your questions, answer all your comments. Of course, this is a live edition. We don't always get the live editions of the Baumbastic Podcast, so appreciate you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys spending your Sunday evening. It is kind of weird that the series is ending at 7:30 on a Sunday night. Don't usually get that, but, make do with what you got to do. And so, again, appreciate everybody for being here. I'm now watching Cole Gibbler take his warm-up pitches. Really happy to see him get in an SEC game. And so we're going to kind of react to the action as it's happening. I would imagine Arkansas is going to just kind of take care of business here and get the job done. But we're here. If there is going to be a historic collapse and Arkansas is going to drop this series finale, we'll react to it together. Or in all likelihood, Arkansas will hold on and win this one, and we will react to that as well. But again, like I said, here to answer all your questions about just the baseball team, the weekend. Kind of want to just talk about a little bit of everything here on this live edition of the Baumbastic Podcast. Let's hop right into the chat just as we do, as Colt Gibbler's out here shoving. Starts with my guy Vids for me, who, just a legend of the comment section. That's a term I throw out a lot for some of our regulars, guys that are here all the time. You see the same names pop up. Vids for me, or as he's known on Twitter, Not a Burner. Always been a huge supporter of ours. We really appreciate him. Always love having him kick it as Cole Gibbler picks up a quick 3-pitch strikeout to start his SEC career. So love to see that. But Vids for me says, I know this is the Baumbastic, but huge shout out to the softball team. Huge road series win. Yes. Huge shout out to the softball team. Goes on the road in Gainesville, in Florida, against the number 2 Florida Gators. They win game 1, drop game 2 in extra innings. They lose in 9 innings yesterday. Took the lead on a Bree Ellis homer, and then ended up giving up 3 in the bottom half. So a little bit disappointing there. Came back in the rubber match today and got the job done. So big time stuff from the softball team. They started off, I believe it was 1-5 in SEC play. Got swept by Oklahoma at home. Dropped a series against Ole Miss, and I kind of was a little bit annoyed by that, because they'd started so well. But good to see them. They've been playing some really good softball here lately. they're going to be nasty, man. Will this be Courtney Deifel's team that can finally get over that hump and get to Oklahoma City? It is Oklahoma City, right? That's where they do the softball World Series. But yeah, good to see for the softball team there. Let's see. GM says Andrew asked if Hogs would put belt to ass the series. Did they? Well, they certainly did that. And also, I put that in the thumbnail of like, hey, can Arkansas put belt to ass? It wasn't like I was seriously questioning if Arkansas was going to. In fact, I just tweeted out a clip. I remember saying it in the moment. And look, I'm not a self promoter, even though I do refer to myself as handsome and talented on some of these podcasts. But it's rare that like I say something and I'm like, hey, that was like actually pretty good. But I had this little soliloquy where I was like, hey, it's pretty much as simple for Arkansas as you're the better team. You have the better players. You have the better coach. You're the real program that's running things here. Here's an ass whipping. Here's another. And here's another. And this was on Thursday before the series. And so, of course, not the boldest prediction in the world to say that Arkansas was going to kick Missouri's ass this weekend in baseball. But it was good to see it play out that way. And absolutely, GM, they did. They did put belt to ass. No doubt about that. Put belt to ass 3 times, man. And look, a lot of people, by the way, are going to do the thing where they're like, I mean, Missouri sucks, which, by the way, they do. Like, there's no debate about that. This means nothing. And that also is kind of true. But like I said, it's not like Missouri gets run ruled in every SEC game, particularly when you condense the series to 24 hours. I mean, the series started at 4 p.m. yesterday, 26 hours or about 27 hours ago. And so you have 3 ass kickings in the middle of that. I always say I hate when there's a doubleheader in SEC play because it kind of lends itself to like there being a split. Like I feel like if you're going to get caught, it's going to be in that type of setting. So I thought it was important for Arkansas to come out and take care of business, and they did that and then some. And so good on the Hawks, man. Seriously. Cole Gibbler, man. Cole Gibbler's getting the job done here as he spikes a breaking ball. And did it hit the guy? No. I guess he hit the guy. My bad. But Vids for me followed up by saying that inning was the Fouch this team needs. So Christian Fouch came in for those that are relying on me to tell the story here of this and that are not watching along. Still 12-2 here in the I guess it's about to be the bottom of the 6th inning. Christian Fouch came in and pitched the top of the 5th for Arkansas after Landon Beidelshees finished his day. Landon Beidelshees, who, by the way, I thought was pretty good in this one. Again, Missouri's bad, blah, blah, blah. But as we talked about coming into the series, and I think you guys have probably seen this if you've been watching the series, like their bats really aren't they're not the worst offense in the SEC. Truth be told, I know that sounds like a demeaning thing to say, but they're really not the worst offense in the SEC. In fact, I would say that the Vanderbilt team Arkansas played last week, who, by the way, that Vanderbilt team went out and swept Florida in Gainesville. Florida now 1-11. That Vanderbilt team, I think that series sweep that Arkansas had last week in Nashville is going to age pretty well. From an offensive standpoint, you look at the numbers, there's really not much difference between Missouri and Vanderbilt. Like, they've got a couple guys that can swing it. Of course, their best hitter, Jackson Lovich, not playing this weekend. But, like, Missouri actually can swing the bat a little bit. Like, they're at least competitive there. They're at least, I wouldn't say like an average SEC team, but like a normal SEC team. They're kind of similar to what Arkansas was last year at the plate, honestly. So, not saying that like we should crown Landon Beidelshees, but I thought he needed to have a good outing, needed to kind of get that stability. He's been pretty good about eating innings for Arkansas. I thought he was good, struck out 7 guys in 4 innings. As Cole Gibbler, by the way, did he strike out the side? He just got a strikeout there. No, he did have a ground out there, but really good stuff out of Cole Gibbler. He and Christian Fouch come in and just do their job. Gibbler did not retire the side in order because he did hit that guy with a spiked breaking ball, but didn't allow any hits, didn't allow any runs, picked up some strikeouts. Fouch looked good, man. And Fouch, I agree with you, Vids, for me. That's the Fouch that Arkansas needs. I would also say like Fouch needed that. He needed an outing like that, low stress. I mean, this is a guy that every time we've seen Fouch pitch this year, aside from one midweek inning, it's been basically high leverage, like game on the line type of situation. And last year, he was really good for Arkansas in those settings. Has not been this year, but I felt like Fouch needed kind of just a smooth, go out there, get the job done. Plus, he hasn't thrown in a couple weeks now, so good to see him kind of shake off the rust, go out there, have a clean inning. Should do well for his confidence, and we'll see what his role ends up being down the stretch. But I do think Arkansas is going to need Christian Fouch at some point in this season. Going to need him to come in and get some big right-handed hitters out. Might only be for 1-2 innings. 1-2 hitters here and there, but hey, that's what, when you have a guy like that, that's a high 90s, 2-pitch mix kind of guy, if he ends up playing at the big leagues, like he's going to be coming in for 1-2 hitters here and there, maybe an inning here and there. That's the kind of role Arkansas could use him in. And so I think, it's going to be interesting to watch his development, see if he can really be a guy that Arkansas can count on in high leverage situations. Garrett McCollum follows and says, in all seriousness, Kojal, Davalon, and Maxwell were the types of hitters the Hogs have been missing the last few years. Just gritty ball players and tough outs that can also hit for power. Yeah, no, absolutely. I could not agree with this more. Obviously, you look at their numbers, like certainly, you could always use guys that are going to put up those numbers. But I mean, people always ask, they think there was like some big philosophical shift in what Arkansas is doing offensively. I've said all along, I said it in the offseason, you guys can go back and check. In the offseason, I said Arkansas doesn't have a approach problem. They don't have a Nate Thompson, in the way he's coaching this offense. They needed dudes. If you're going to play the way Arkansas wants to play, you need the guys to play that way. And Arkansas certainly has that. I mean, 1 through 9, you go on down through it. Justin Thomas hasn't had a great weekend, but this is a guy that after yesterday was hitting 300, and that's your 9-hole. And that's like your worst hitter. Nolan Souza in the 8-hole hitting around 240. I know everybody, kind of soured on Nolan Souza, but like if Nolan Souza is your worst hitter, that tells me you're a pretty damn good baseball team. I mean, Ryder Helfrich's another one of those guys, been hitting in the 7-hole all year. Dude's now hitting over 300. Dude crushes the baseball. And so it's, having that depth, having the lineup where there's no easy outs. Every single guy in this lineup can hurt you. And I feel like in the transfer portal, Arkansas just really need to commend this coaching staff on the job they did rounding out this roster. I mean, think about it. You've got guys like Rocco Pepe and Kendall Diggs who literally do not play. I mean, Rocco Pepe's banged up, not available this weekend. But like those dudes are literally picking splinters out of their ass. And those are good baseball players. Those are guys that are seniors that have played at this level. There's no doubt about whether or not they can play at this level. Arkansas doesn't need them to. And you got a guy like Carson Boles who's at the plate right now. Can't even hardly get in the game, hardly. He's a good baseball player. I just think the level of talent, the consistency of the lineup, the mix of skill sets, and those three guys, Kojal, Davalon, and Maxwell, have just been unbelievable, man. And it's been something that Arkansas certainly needed. I mean, the outfield alone, just night and day compared to last year. Is Carson Boles, I believe that was a walk he just drew. Alex Edens, another legend of the comment section, says, my wife has to quit watching today because she, quote, feels so bad for those little boys at Mizzou. What a total butt kicking against one sport Missouri. Yeah, man, let's talk about the Missouri thing for a second. So, we're going to talk about everything, and we're going to talk about the Arkansas side. I'm going to try to focus on Arkansas rather than the opponent because, of course, I don't think Arkansas is facing much opposition. Can we agree there's, no real reason for Missouri to be this bad? Like, I understand if you don't necessarily put an emphasis on baseball. We've seen their facilities. Their facilities suck. But there's no reason for an SEC team with all the resources in the world to be fielding a team that is this bad. Like, it is actually kind of shameful. There's tons of JUCOs in the state of Kansas, in the state of Missouri, hell, Crowder. Like, you can find guys. I mean, there's unlimited good baseball players around the country. All these teams, even if you don't want to spend a ton of NIL, even if you don't want to say, hey, we're not going to commit any actual financial resources. Okay, sure, you won't get the top talent. You can still get guys like Hutchinson Community College. Just go take their third baseman. Go take their shortstop. Go take their left-handed pitcher. Like, I guarantee you, Hutchinson Community College has better arms than we've seen out of Missouri this weekend. Like, I'm being dead serious. And that's why I kind of don't feel bad for them. And by the way, shout out to their head coach who, I'm a good man of faith, man of character, best friends with Matt Hobbs. I really am not trying to take shots at anybody. I understand these guys are trying to win. They didn't try to field a bad team, but I don't know, man. They made some weird decisions this weekend too. I mean, they're bunting. They're down 7-2 in the third inning of a 7-inning game. You've been outscored 35-7 in the first two games, and you're bunting. You're bunting a guy over, giving Arkansas an out. That tells me you're not actually trying to compete. You're not actually trying to win these games. Honestly, and I'm being dead serious when I say this. I'm not trying. And there was somebody that commented on yesterday's show and was like, hey, man, I just wish you would be less disrespectful to the opponent. That's not a good omen. I don't like when you're putting down these other teams. And I understand that. And I'm being dead serious. I tell a lot of jokes. I'm not telling jokes. I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. By the way, as I'm giving this rant, just had a tailor-made 5-4-3 double play that they boot. Now there's runners on first and second with nobody out. I'm really not even trying to make jokes and be disrespectful. There are several power conference schools that do not play baseball. Like literally Iowa State, Wisconsin. I feel like there's a couple others that I'm maybe forgetting, but there's like, it's a thing. It's not uncommon for a power conference school to be like, hey, we're just not doing baseball. Like we're not going to commit any money to it. It's not a huge revenue sport for most programs outside of, 10 or 12 in the SEC. We're just not going to play it. I actually think Missouri should maybe consider that. Like if this is the shit you're going to do, like if you're going to put a team like this, that is like a just, like you really did not try to go out there and get guys. I don't know, man. I feel like, and if you're going to do some of this stuff where you're literally bunting in the third inning down 1,000 runs, it's like what are you really trying to accomplish? Is it just to like give these guys an opportunity to play baseball? Like I really don't know. It's actually offensive. It is actually offensive. Lenny Evans says best top to bottom lineup we've ever had. I mean, listen, that's not a crazy take. Like it's really not at all. The numbers certainly are going to the numbers are certainly going to end up being there by the end of the year. I think this team is going to probably break the home run record, which I believe is like 109, 110, somewhere in that range. They're up in that 75, 80 range right now for home runs. They're going to probably be the most powerful lineup we've ever seen at Arkansas. From a team average standpoint, I don't know what their program record is or anything like that, but like Arkansas after this weekend is going to be leading the SEC in literally every single hitting category there is, like average, slugging. They'll be top 2 or 3 in on base. They'll be top 2 or 3 in home runs. They won't be top 2 or 3 in stolen bases, but like in terms of how they relate to their peers, this is one of the best Arkansas teams we've seen and definitely in recent years. I mean, Arkansas has been bottom 5 in most SEC categories offensively. I think given the context of how everyone is good in college baseball and how everyone is loading up, everyone's spending NIL money, for Arkansas to be fielding a lineup this good is certainly impressive. And I think you can make a very strong argument. This is the best lineup we've seen at Arkansas. Missouri turned a huge double play, a 5-3. The third baseman atoned for his mistake. And then the next pitch is a Charles Davalon single up the middle that scores Ryder Helfrich. Charles Davalon continues to do the damn thing. Him and Cam Kogel, man, just unbelievable. I think Cam Kogel, they said he had 13 runs driven in or something like that this weekend. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Let's see. Again, appreciate everybody for tapping in today, man. Appreciate you guys always supporting the show, always loving baseball. And I hope y'all are okay with me kind of getting out in front of this one rather than waiting for the game to officially end, which shouldn't be too much longer. I mean, there's 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. Gonna likely see this thing wrap up here soon. Let's get into a few more chats. Lane Hedge says, honestly, I'm surprised that we haven't seen Bibee this weekend. Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, more of that is just the situations that played out. Like, for instance, in game 1, you throw Carter and McIntyre because it was a kind of low leverage situation. You're up, when I say kind of, you're up double-digit runs. And I think, honestly, they view Ben Bibee as a high leverage guy. I think he's kind of earned the right to be one of those guys that pitches with the game on the line. And I mean, obviously we saw him throw 4 innings at the end of the series against Vanderbilt. I think they probably in game 1 didn't want to use someone high leverage in that situation. Game 2, it was weird which by the way, Ben Bibee did get up and throwing like in the first or second inning when Gabe Gackle was kind of struggling. They got Ben Bibee up and he was like starting to get hot. Like I think there was a chance if Gabe Gackle didn't get 1 or 2 hitters out there, like Ben Bibee might have come into that game early. Oof, Bahiva just hit a home run foul. There was a chance Ben Bibee was going to come into that game. They wind up getting Aiden Jimenez up and moving. It was like 6-4, 7-4, somewhere in that range. And they started warming up Aiden Jimenez. Jimenez is how you say that, by the way. Jimenez, not Jimenez, not Jimenez, Jimenez. I worked really hard on that the other day. But they got Aiden Jimenez up and moving again when it was still a close game. And they're like, okay, we're going to throw him. This is our guy. Arkansas ends up leading 13-4 after that inning, but they had already gotten him hot. And so it's like, you might as well use them now that you've gotten them hot. And so that's kind of how that worked out. But Ben Bibee, yeah, I don't think there's anything to read into Ben Bibee not throwing in this series. I think it's just kind of the way it played out. I mean, we'll see if Carson Wiggins goes in. I don't know. I'm not at the game anymore, clearly. So I don't know if he's up and throwing. And I see vids from me asking about that. Yeah, I mean, it really does not matter who you throw. By the way, Vahiva Lloyd just pokes a base hit into right field. I believe that will score Davalon, make it a 14-2 game. Vahiva Lloyd, very productive day at the office for him. I think he's got like 6 or 7 hits total. Reached base a ton, big time stuff. But yeah, you could really just take your pick. Colin Fisher's a guy that I kind of wish Arkansas had been able to work in there. Obviously, not a ton of high leverage situations, but considering that they kind of conserved him on the midweek so that he'd be available. And I said that coming into the weekend that you were going to need guys like Cole Gibbler and guys like Colin Fisher to help you in the next 4 or 5 weeks while Parker Coyle is out. So I would like to see Colin Fisher maybe get an inning, get his feet wet so that next week, if you have to go to him in a high leverage situation against Georgia, who did get swept this weekend, but has a really, really explosive lineup, he's at least thrown on the weekend for you recently. And so we'll see if they go that direction. But of course, hard to argue against getting Wiggins, who is your closer. We see that happen a lot with Arkansas where you end up throwing your closer on the final inning of a series that's like, a 12-1 game, 11-3 or something like that. But it's just like, hey, we got to get our closer some work. And so I wouldn't hate seeing Carson Wiggins. Really, like I said, doesn't matter to me how it's going to work. Let's see. SCT says Danny Shee had great stats on all the Mizzou ass whippings this year. We've topped them all. No, that sounds about right. And Danny Shee is the guy who would have that type of stuff. I mean, listen, I'm not going to make an Asian math joke here. I'm just going to say that Daniel Shee is a guy whose opinion you should trust. Although he did. Do y'all remember when he tried to throw Bernardo in jail on the podcast a couple of weeks ago? He was like, get this bum out of here. That was crazy. Still don't know how I feel about that. Although Bernardo, not the best weekend at the office. Let's see. Lane Hedge says, do you think that we will lose a series either on the road or at home? Yeah. I mean, listen, I still would be surprised if Arkansas didn't lose a series this year. In fact, call me crazy, like I'd kind of prefer if they would lose a series. I don't want to do the whole won every single SEC series and then end up losing in the super regional type of thing. I really don't want to do that again. And plus, you're about to face some really, really tough competition. I mean, you're about to go on the road at Georgia, a team that is going to drop in the rankings. They'll probably drop to the 8 or 10 range, but they're going to be pissed off. They're going to be highly motivated. And like I said, has maybe if Arkansas doesn't have the best lineup in the SEC, it's Georgia who has the best lineup in the SEC. And so should be an explosive, high-scoring series. That's going to be a tough test for this Arkansas pitching staff. Like, Arkansas could very easily drop that one. Florida's now 1-11. Doesn't look like that's going to be as tough as it maybe seemed early on. But you still have to go at LSU, to Baton Rouge, in the box. They're one of the top 5 teams in the country as well. They came off they had an impressive sweep against Oklahoma this week. So, by the way, Cam Kozel just ripped a double down the line. Just continues to do that. It's crazy how much as I'm speaking, I'm just watching runs pile up on the board, watching hits take place. But even some of those home series, I mean, Tennessee did lose a series to A&M. They will drop out of that number 1 spot, and we'll see if it's Arkansas or Texas there. But I mean, like, Texas is going to be either ranked number 1 or number 2 tomorrow. Both of those series at home are going to be really hard. Can Arkansas win them? Sure. Arkansas can beat literally anybody. Arkansas is the best team in the country, but as we know, the best team in the country doesn't win every single weekend. And so I would have a hard time imagining Arkansas is about to just waltz their way through. The fact that it's all kind of bunched up here. I mean, hell, even A&M, who just beat Tennessee in a series like that's a tough one, man. Like that, there's some tough series coming up here, but Arkansas, of course, can win them all. But I would imagine they're probably going to drop at least one. Let's see. Alex Eden says Gibbler equals Coyle. This is funny, but also, what's crazy is, like, Parker Coyle wishes he were as talented as Cole Gibbler. Like, Cole Gibbler, from a stuff standpoint, probably even dirtier than Parker Coyle. Although you guys know this, I've been defending Parker Coyle from a stuff standpoint. People see that he throws 90-91 and they're like, oh, he doesn't have great stuff. His breaking stuff, I mean, that little cutter slider combo that he throws, disgusting. Like, truly, he has good stuff, but I mean, Cole Gibbler, man, like, he's in that 92-94 range with his fastball. I think there's a little bit more juice in there. Like, I think Cole Gibbler, by the time he leaves Arkansas, is going to be a mid-90s guy from the left side with that absolute hammer of a slider. Like, just that 2-pitch mix alone, that's going to get him drafted. That's going to pay the bills. That's going to that's going to give him a chance to pitch in the big leagues. I think if he can continue to round out the arsenal, Cole Gibbler could be a legitimate like weekend starter for Arkansas in the future. And so, fun to watch, but would look, and I can't wait. This could work out well where Parker Coyle, of course, going to miss some time, and that sucks. Like, he's been awesome for Arkansas, been fun to watch him pitch. I really hate it more for him. Like, Arkansas is going to miss his presence, but I really hate it more for him than anything else. But I think there's a world where his absence kind of leads to Cole Gibbler kind of taking that next step, really becoming a dude on the weekends for Arkansas, and then you're able to supplement Parker Coyle on top of that. I'm not even going to bring up the other injured left-handed pitcher that we've all been kind of waiting on. Same with Colin Fisher, though. Like, maybe he's the guy that can get going here. And so you could look up at the end of the year and be like, man, Arkansas's got a little three-headed monster of left-handed pitchers there, man. Lane says, even though I'm an Arkansas State alumni, my heart belongs to the Hogs. We putting up 20 against A-State on Tuesday. Love this energy. I will say, Arkansas State beat, did they play Coastal this weekend? I saw they beat a ranked team this weekend. I didn't keep up with their series or anything. I never really do too much research on the midweek opponents, if I'm being 1,000 with you. But yeah, Arkansas State's like not that bad, it doesn't seem. Z-Goose says, any way we can find Carson Boles another year. Really would like to see him performing as an everyday player. Yeah, man, I would have to look into it. I mean, I know I feel like he played at least 2 full seasons, and I feel like he played 3 seasons at the D2 level. And D2 is not the same as JUCO, where if it was JUCO, you probably could. And who knows? I think his career started after COVID, so that kind of makes it a little bit tough. I think that's something to look into. Maybe you can, look, they hand out eligibility like fortune cookies these days. You could probably find something, but how about Carson Boles? Let's talk about him for a second, man. This is a guy that you guys know, like I've overlooked him a lot, where I was just like, I just don't see how on this particular team with the amount of dudes Arkansas has, like I don't see him really helping Arkansas on the weekends. And, I don't know if he's going to end up being like an everyday starter, but that dude is certainly at the absolute bare minimum. He's Arkansas's 4th outfielder and like a legitimate right-handed pinch hit option off the bench. And you think, a guy like Justin Thomas who's in there for his defense, I think he's going to Carson Boles, with the way he's swinging it, it's going to force some conversations, man. Like, I think he's certainly earned every opportunity he's gotten, and he's run with every opportunity that he's gotten. And I think, look, literally any other school in the country, I think he's a legitimate everyday starter. He's just a good ball player, man. I think, again, it just speaks to the level of talent and the depth that this program has created on the offensive side that we just haven't seen, man. Like Carson Boles literally would have been Arkansas's best. He would have been the best outfielder on the roster last year. And this year it's like you can hardly even get him at bats. You have to bench Logan Maxwell. And people were very upset about that, man. I got like 4 people tweeted at me and they're like, what the hell? Why is Logan Maxwell not hitting? I'm like, well, you got to find ways to do it, man. Man. All right, Kahio Aloy's up at the plate. I have no idea. Oh, and he just roped a single up the middle. That'll drive home another run. Gabe Frazier, by the way, came into the game and reached with an infield single. It is now a 16-2 ball game, and I'm really glad I started this stream early. I'm really glad I decided to do that, so we can kind of get some of this going a little bit. But again, appreciate you guys for pulling up. Appreciate you guys for always just being ready to come kick it whenever, man. I know we do these live streams. You can never really tell. Hell, while I'm doing this, we might have some basketball portal news. I might be getting a phone call from Curtis here soon that's like, hey, man, wrap it up. We got to go. But, we ball, man. Nolan Souza up at the plate in a left-on-left matchup. Nolan Souza had a pretty good weekend at the plate, if I do say so myself. I thought he swung the bat pretty well, worked a ton of walks, hits lefties pretty well. He's been hitting lefties well here lately. We'll see if he can get a base hit here against a left-handed hitter. Garrett McCollum says, really need to get Wood back, though. Obviously didn't need him this weekend, but he takes his pitching staff to another level. He certainly would. He certainly Gage would. Definitely would like to get him back. Really, like, aside from even like how it would affect Arkansas, what role you'd put him in and all that, just for Gage Wood individually, like a guy that has a ton of buzz as a draft prospect, a guy that if he's healthy is going to get drafted pretty high and is going to warrant a pretty solid signing bonus. Like, I would love to see him come back. pitch well for Arkansas, get drafted, make a ton of money, go pitch in the big leagues. And so I just hate that, anytime you throw an injury like that, it kind of makes me nervous. And so, Souza flies out to center field into the 6th innings. And now we're on to the top of the 7th. And it looks like it will be Wiggins that will get the top of the 7th. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, I think Gage Wood, man, you can let your imagination run wild. Think about how good this Arkansas pitching staff is even right now without Parker Coyle and without Gage Wood. And so who literally, if you're Gage Wood might be starting, might be coming out of the pen. We'll see. But literally might be your best right-handed bullpen arm and your best left-handed bullpen arm. Arkansas is operating without either of those guys right now. And so again, and kind of like the Coyle situation with the lefties, I think this time period without Wood is very important for guys like Wiggins, guys like Ben Bybee, of course, guys like Aiden Jimenez, to kind of solidify their spot so that when Gage Wood comes back, it's like icing on the cake. And so we'll see how long it ends up being. Hopefully Dave gives some type of positive update on Gage Wood after this game. I'm sure he'll be asked about it here soon. But I talked about this the other day. Did not like the vibes that I saw here or from DVH the other day when he was asked about it. Did not have a good look on his face. That makes me a little bit nervous. Let's see. Robert Hurst says Nate Thompson's reaction when Davlon hit that grand slam was awesome. I must have missed that. That was actually when Davlon hit that grand slam. That's when I left Baum Walker Stadium because I was like, all right, I see what's going on here. Let me get back, set up shop, get ready for the stream tonight. But good for Nate Thompson, man. I really am. I've kind of weirdly positioned myself as a Nate Thompson guy. And I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Nate Thompson fan, but people have been so critical of him that I almost felt the need to defend him. Cause like I said, I've never felt like it was as simple as when Arkansas hits poorly, it's because Nate Thompson told them to hit poorly and he's telling them to hit home runs and all that. I've always seen all these crazy overblown narratives. And I've also been critical of the job he's done in terms of having guys like Ty Wilmsmeyer in the outfield, really just the recruiting overall. I felt like that's where people should be mad, but I've kind of positioned myself as a Nate Thompson defender. And so it is kind of I do feel good for him on a personal level. I don't really know the guy personally. I've only talked to him once or twice. I don't know if he's a big fan of my work or not, but, and I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of his, but I do feel good for him on a personal level. This is a dude that's been at Arkansas for 7 years. He's been sitting here plugging away. He's given a lot to this program. And so it's good to see him, getting some reward now. And hopefully it all kind of leads to the ultimate prize. Garrett says Hogs are on 50 runs watch with 18 available innings. Let me do the math real quick. So they scored 21 in game 1. They scored 14 in game 2. That's 35. So yeah, they cracked it. It's 51 runs in 21 innings and really 18 innings, like he's saying. That's unbelievable. That really is unbelievable. I don't my brain doesn't know how to compute that. That's unreal, man. Vids from me with a great comment. He says, the people who say don't be respectful of the other team don't watch the show. You overhype the other team sometimes, AE. No, that's true. And I said that on the show the other day. I try to go out of my way to kind of be hey, this team's great, but it's tough with Missouri, man, especially when someone doesn't respect themselves. It's hard for me to respect them as Carson Wiggins comes in and starts pumping strikes. Would love to see Carson Wiggins just clean inning here. We don't really need to see any drama. By the way, let's think about this for a second. Obviously, Arkansas's bullpen has not had any high leverage situations here. Strike 3 for Carson Wiggins. Good to see right there. Gets the breaking ball, freezes them. So you had McIntyre and Carter both came in, pitched 1 inning, scoreless each. In game 2, you had Aiden Jimenez come in and throw 2 scoreless innings. Steele Eves, by the way, freshman right-hander. Good to see him get some experience. He's gotten a few innings here and there this year, mostly midweeks, a lot of low leverage stuff, but good to see him getting that experience. Good to see Arkansas investing in a young right-handed arm. But neither of those guys gave up a run. You had Gibbler come in, didn't give up a run. Fouch didn't give up a run, and now Wiggins has 1 out. Arkansas's bullpen might go the entire weekend without giving up a run, which is certainly something. And knock on wood in case I jinx that. But how about that, man? Let's see. Shout out to I still don't know if this is Escar or if it's Edgar and he just had a typo there. But shout out to Escar Jimenez. I'm assuming it's pronounced the same way as Aiden Jimenez and Jason Jimenez, which, by the way, if you missed that interview with Jason Jimenez, really good stuff. But Esker says, got to get that Jimenez jersey now. Yeah, you absolutely do, man. I mean, when there's like, hey, I might have to get a Brie Ellis jersey. I might have to get me a Brie. Like, you just, when your favorite team has someone with your last name, I feel like it's almost a given. You got to get their jersey. That's big time stuff. This is an interesting comment here from TK Hogg. Let's see. Oh, Carson Wiggins. Okay, fly out to center. He did walk a guy. But TK Hogg says, you know how sometimes you just don't like someone after a first couple impressions? You was that dude for me, and I'm not sure why. LOL. Fast forward to now, you my favorite out of the bunch. Love your work, bro. Woo pig suey. Well, I appreciate this. Obviously, I don't know what I said or did that maybe rubbed you the wrong way. I feel like you're probably not the only person who has this type of opinion where, like, maybe you weren't crazy about me at first, but then I kind of wore you down. No, I mean, listen, like, I don't know if I would call myself bipolar. I don't want to, use that terminology and be offensive to people who actually, suffer from stuff. But I feel like I am one of those guys where I'm kind of a roller coaster. So sometimes, I mean, hell, like the other day we did Inside Arkansas Live, and I don't know if you guys were watching. I was just getting after this one guy. He really pissed me off, kept commenting negative stuff. And so I just kind of went at him and just went off for like 4 minutes. You catch me on the wrong day or you say something that makes me mad, I kind of am a little bit of an asshole. So like I would never like, hold it against anyone if they aren't a huge fan of me or, think I need to, do things differently, like whatever. Like I think I have my days, but I appreciate you saying that, TK Hogg, that I won you over. And by the way, the ball game is officially over. Carson Wiggins fields a ground ball back to him. I hope I haven't gotten to like live in the comment section. I wonder how far behind I am. Like this series might have ended 30 minutes ago. Sometimes when I'm watching on my phone, which is what I was doing now, I can get behind, but there you have it. It is officially a series sweep for Arkansas. They improved to 11-1 on the year. What is that overall record for Arkansas? What's the overall record? Is it 29-3, 30-3? Where are we at now? I'll get to it in the chat eventually. But man, just been an impressive start of the season for Arkansas. Of course, you kind of expected it to go this way this weekend, but outscoring a team, what was it, 51-9? Like that's those are literal video game numbers, man. And obviously, Missouri is the worst team in the SEC, but I feel like this weekend kind of showed us what the gap is between number 1 and number 16. That gap is big. And we always say stuff like, oh, in the SEC, there's not much separation. Everyone's good. That is true, except for Missouri, whose pitching staff entered the weekend by far the worst in the SEC. Can't wait to look at some of these numbers and compare them to other SEC teams. They might be dead last in literally every single category in terms of pitching and defense, man. Really, really tough, man. Really tough. Okay, now let's hop into this chat real quick. I'm making my way through it. Man, it's a lot easier whenever I have John and Curtis and they're yapping and I'm able to just kind of sift through the chat, star some that I really like. But Vince, for me, I like this comment here. He says, we played a pissed off UGA at Athens and A&M. Remember how to play baseball just in time to play us in 2 weeks. So yeah, this is a good point. Like I said, Georgia, who, by the way, that was kind of like the series of the weekend, them versus Texas in Austin. You had number 3 versus number 5. Everyone kind of had their eyes on that. Texas, credit to him. Like, I don't want to give Jim Schlossnagle too much credit because I do not like the guy. And I don't think anyone should like the guy. He's a damn good baseball coach. Like, it's undeniable at this point. He was great at TCU. He was great at Texas A&M. He's done a great job so far at Texas. Like I said, they're going to be either number 1 or number 2 tomorrow with Arkansas. And that series in Fayetteville is going to be cinema. They get a huge sweep over Georgia, and all 3 games were competitive. It wasn't like they whipped their ass or anything, but I think that was a little bit of a reality check for Georgia, definitely a wake-up call for them. And so now Arkansas is going to get them on the heels of that. And tough break for Georgia to have Texas and Arkansas back-to-back. Like that's a little bit of a tough break from a scheduling standpoint. But yeah, so you're going to face a Georgia team that's going to be heavily motivated, and you're playing them at home. That's not going to be an easy series. You're also going to get an A&M team that beat Tennessee today, beat Tennessee twice yesterday to win that series, their first SEC series win. I don't know who A&M has. I know they play Missouri at some point later. But, going to be a team that may be kind of finding their stride. They've got new life now, and so you get them in a couple weeks in Fayetteville. That'll be a fun weekend. Hopefully that'll be like the weekend where like the crowds are really crazy. Obviously this weekend with the weather and the schedule being around, I understand why the crowds weren't like super big. Hopefully we get some like just packed Baum Walker, like vintage Baum Walker Stadium crowds against A&M. And I think we will. That's also the same weekend as the spring game, of course. It's also Easter weekend, so you might have some folks in town. Going to be fun, but you definitely are not going to be facing Missouri anymore. Like the fun's over now from that standpoint. Obviously, Arkansas is still very good. I still will favor Arkansas in a lot of these series, but definitely going to be a lot different in terms of level of competition you're facing. And really, all these teams in the SEC outside of Missouri are pretty talented. Man. Okay, yeah. So I've now made it to the chat where Gabe Frazier's at bat is being reacted to. Let's see. SCT has a good comment here. He says, if Souza and Helfrich can both hit around 260 and push for double-digit home runs, this lineup is going to be legitimately scary. No, this is a true statement. Like, this is just factual. Helfrich, if my math is correct, is now hitting 310 on the year. Ryder Helfrich, by the way, who is your catcher, your everyday catcher, hitting 310, and he's got 5 home runs, just missed his 6th home run. He thought he had his 6th home run. I don't know if y'all remember that. He kind of pimped it a little bit through the bat. Definitely hit a ball 106 miles an hour, but it just didn't have the launch on it to get over the fence. Ends up smacking off the wall. But no, Helfrich's a guy that, like you said, going to be competing for double-digit home runs. His batting average will not finish at 310. He'll probably end up in that 270, 280 range. But like for a catcher, for a true sophomore, for a guy hitting 7-8 in the lineup, like you'll take that all the time. Souza's batting average, I think, is right now in that kind of 230 range. He's starting to chip away there a little bit. Weirdly enough, Souza, believe it or not, has hit better in SEC play than he did in non-conference games. He has a higher batting average in SEC than he does overall. Just kind of the way things have worked out. Of course, he started whatever it was, like 1 for 23 or something like that. I was talking with John Neighbors today, and we were like, man, if you just ignore the first 23 at-bats, Souza's been pretty good. But no, seriously, like those two guys, I've always felt that way. Like even in the offseason, I felt like, I like a lot of these pieces in this Arkansas lineup. Those guys are going to end up being what determines the ceiling for this team. Like if those guys are good, you can guarantee me that they're good. Arkansas is going a long way. Like, and those guys in the postseason are going to be kind of who can make or break your season. Cause you count on, of all these big old dudes that have the crazy numbers. I mean, Kojal now's in that mix. Kojal, Davalon, Maxwell, Aloy, Iredale. You might not get all of them rolling at the same time, but between those 6 guys that I just listed off, pretty much every weekend, 3 of those guys are going to have a pretty notable, going to be in my weekend winners edition, or going to drive in 7-8 runs, hit a few home runs, just kind of the way it works. And so if you get someone out of that mix working there, and then you have these guys at the bottom give you literally anything, and you can throw Justin Thomas in there, really just makes it dangerous there, man. Zigu says, Wood, Jimenez, and Gackle rotation next year. So here's my only issue with this, and it really I don't have an issue with it. Obviously, if that's the rotation, I'll be over the moon. If Gage Wood is back at Arkansas next year, that means that he has suffered a serious injury. That means that this shoulder thing is a season ender, and he's probably going to get a medical hardship and come back. If he comes back and pitches at all for Arkansas, even if he comes back and isn't that good, I mean, this Gage Wood was a guy that preseason was a top 250 overall prospect. And then he came out of the gate throwing 97, kind of was even starting to elevate on that. If he comes back and pitches at all for Arkansas, I don't see a way where he doesn't get drafted and signed, like realistically. Jimenez is a guy that is kind of crazy because coming into the year, we didn't even know if he was going to pitch at all. We thought there was a chance he would just redshirt and come back next year. With the way he's pitched, with the way his stuff is developed, I have a hard time imagining he's not going to get drafted as well. And so of those 3 you just listed, I think Gackle's kind of the only one that I'm super confident, only because he has no choice, that is going to be back and going to be in that rotation next year. Obviously, if all 3 of those guys are back, sure, I'll bet, I will gladly sign up for that rotation. But those first 2 guys, Wood in particular, if he comes back and is healthy, I don't see how they don't get drafted. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out. We'll see if Arkansas is maybe able to pony up and maybe offer those guys a little bit a juice to come back. But a few names I would keep in mind here. Carson Wiggins, I think, is certainly a guy that we'll see how he develops, of course. I mean, they're using him in a closing role. He's going to be draft eligible next year. And so, whereas if you knew you had him for 3 years, maybe you would want to kind of take the slow approach and maybe work him into it. I think next year, our Hog fans know he's going to be a top 2-3 round type of arm. Might as well go ahead and start him. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to do that. Of course, and here's another thing. I mean, just to be honest with you, Carson Wiggins turned down a lot of money to come to Arkansas. I'm not saying that like Dave Van Horn is like one of those guys that promises kids stuff. But I think given the fact that he took that chance on Arkansas, decided to go to school rather than start his professional career, I think they will give him an opportunity to be in the starting rotation. By the way, from a stuff standpoint, I mean, you see him throwing, like, it kind of makes sense. And so he's a name to keep in mind. Cole Gibbler, of course, is a guy that I think has that type of upside. Hell, Colin Fisher, I mean, they got to get him going a little bit, need to see him pitch a little bit better than he's pitched lately, but he might be in that mix as well. Of course, you're probably, Arkansas's had at least one transfer in the rotation pretty much every year, except for 2022, but in 2021, had a transfer in the rotation with Lyle Lockhart. 2023, you had Hunter Holland. Last year, you had Mason Molina. Like there's always one transfer guy, and so there's probably some guy that we haven't heard of yet that will probably be in that weekend rotation mix. But no, yeah, that's certainly a good start there. SCT's being mean in the chat. He says Andrew's from Louisiana. He can't read and it upsets him. Hey, come on now. Also, me being from Louisiana, I used to be embarrassed about it. I actually kind of take some pride in it. Not that Louisiana is the standard for education, but like if I were from Arkansas, it's not like Arkansas's way up there in literacy, like it's not like Arkansas is known for producing high level scholastic readers or anything like that. What is that even a reference to? Come on now. I see a couple people. Chase Co says 30-3 is the record. I mean, hell, 30-3, that just looks good. Like you don't have, like a lot of times, and like a record really doesn't mean anything. Of course, like by the end of the year, we're not going to look back and say, hey, but they were 30-3 through their first 33. That just looks good, man. Doesn't that look good in 11-1 in SEC play? I haven't done any research here. You guys have been seeing me. I would imagine 11-1 has to be the best start they've ever had in SEC play, right? Which, by the way, they started 0-1 in SEC play. They're 11-0 in their last 11 for those that are counting home for the Sabermetrics. And I saw somebody tweeted at me, shout out to Kip C on Twitter, who tweeted at me and said that after game one today, and he said that 10 straight SEC wins is the program record for most consecutive SEC wins. Of course, they went ahead and added another one just for good measure. 11 straight SEC wins is big time. 11-1 start is certainly nothing to scoff at. And man, love that. Vids for me. Shout out to Vids for me. Appreciate the super chat, my guy. I'm glad I buttered you up a little bit at the beginning of the show. Clearly it worked out. I kid, but he says 51-9 for the weekend. Thanks for the batting practice, Zoo. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll like tomorrow when I do my weekend winners episode, which I know everyone just loves. I'll have a little bit more numbers to sift through. I always like so every game. So obviously the game ended whatever it was 20 minutes ago. It'll take a while, but if you check in like 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours after the game, shout out to Oliver Grigg, the SID. He goes back and once he's done with everything, he puts in all these stats. And so about 2 hours after the game ends is when you can check the Arkansas stats website and it will update and it'll have the updated stats. You always got to look for the record to make sure it matches whatever it actually is. Like if you go check it and it says 28-3, obviously Arkansas's, it's not updated. It hasn't counted for the next two games or these last two games. But I always love going and looking at the updated stats as soon as they update. Cannot wait for that. It'll be in about 90 minutes, but really looking forward to that. It's going to be awesome and just kind of tally it all up and make sense of it, man. It's pretty crazy, man. Let's see. Big Donnelly says, do you think the shorter games help or hurt our bullpen? So, this is interesting because from a, this weekend standpoint, sure, it helps because you don't have to use that many guys, but, and I wouldn't say hurt. It doesn't hurt your bullpen, but I will be honest, I would probably have liked to get a couple more guys out there on the bump. Would not have hated seeing Ben Bybee we talked about earlier, would not have hated seeing Cole Gibbler out there or Colin Fisher out there for a little bit. Kind of would have liked to see some other guys have to work, but you play the cards you are dealt, and I guess we'll just have to settle for only having to watch Arkansas throw 21 innings of work. Joshua Ray says starting pitching will need to be on point from here on out. And like, this is always true. I mean, of course you always need your starting pitching to be on point. I wouldn't say it was like a bad weekend for Arkansas starting pitching, but it also wasn't like a weekend where we're coming away being like, whoa, that was crazy. Gackle, by the way. So let's talk about Gabe Gackle for just a second. Cause I got like 4 or 5 texts today that were like, get Gackle out of the rotation, move him to the bullpen. Like midweek, like this guy, I just tired of seeing him start games. And obviously, he's had his struggles this year. Like I understand that. I actually I think I may have had a different interpretation, and I'm interested to hear from some of you guys, hear what you have to say. I actually thought Gabe Gackle threw the ball well today. I thought his defense really didn't help him out at all. I mean, in the first inning, Nolan Souza makes his second error of the year. Probably should have been a double play ball. Was not hit that hard. Kind of tried to glove it to his side, do the Olay thing rather than really. I mean, they're in double play depth. He was obviously thinking of going to there. He tried to kind of stab at it and flip to second rather than really getting in front of it. Ends up being a costly error. So instead of having 2 outs, nobody on base, first and third, nobody out right off the bat. The first hit he allowed really wasn't hit that hard. It was like a 2-2 slider. The guy just kind of pokes it into left field. Davalon almost made the play. So then you have first and third, nobody out. Ends up having a tough 2-strike at bat. Guy pokes another single into left field. But then Gackle kind of settled down, battled pretty well. I actually was impressed with like how he limited the damage, how he just kind of kept it trucking. Ended up giving Arkansas 4 innings. I think he threw 83 pitches. So had he not been on, had it not been a Sunday when they know he's going to pitch Saturday, probably could have gotten 5 out of him there, which if he had been able to go 5, I think we all would have agreed, pretty good start. He ends up giving up 2 earned runs. I think he struck out 6, maybe 7 guys. I actually thought Gabe threw the ball pretty well and he competed pretty well. But that error was really costly and made it look worse. You also had the Ryder Helfrich throwing error, which was weird because Helfrich, by the way, threw out like 3 runners in this game or in this doubleheader today. Had some like just dynamite plays behind the plate. Made just a really bad error when it was first and third. Guy kind of runs and gets halfway and panics. I don't know if they were maybe trying to bait Arkansas there, but he ends up making a really bad throwing error, which brings home 1 run and wound up leading to the run after that coming through because Gackle came back with a strikeout. So if you had thrown that guy out, gotten the strikeout, he's probably out of the inning unscathed. Instead, it ends up being 2 runs. And so he gives up 4 runs, 2 of which were unearned due to literal errors. I really thought like the defense was not great behind him. And I thought that like even the hits he gave up, I think he gave up 5 hits in the game. It's not like any of them really squared up barrels or anything like that. And I think a common theme we've seen with Gackle is the first inning is kind of it's tough for him to get going, but once he gets going, he's great. We've seen that happen in a few different outings. I mean, it happened in the Portland outing, happened in the Charlotte outing, happened last week against Vanderbilt. Usually once he gets over that little blip, he's able to kind of smooth sailing. His stuff actually carries pretty well through 60, 70, 80, 90 pitches. And so it's like, it'd be one thing, like if he were constantly getting roughed up in the 4th and 5th innings, then I would see how you'd be like, okay, yeah, that guy shouldn't be starting, but it's the first inning that usually gives him trouble. And of course he was a lot better last year in the bullpen. So I get why it makes sense, but I definitely didn't come away from today being like, hey, yeah, they got to make a move. And I also think Aiden Jimenez being really good in a long relief, high leverage bullpen role. I understand why you see that. And you're like, hey, move him to the starting rotation. But there's no guarantee you're going to get that same effectiveness because it's just a very different task, very different skill set. And so me personally, I think like stay put there, but I understand why people feel that way. But Root, of course, you feel pretty good about him. Like he's not going to be dominant necessarily, but usually going to eat up innings, usually going to fill up the strike zone. It wasn't super crisp yesterday. I think it was like probably the lowest strike percentage he's had all year. But I feel pretty confident with Root on the mound. And Beidelshees is kind of just steady Eddie. Same because he's similar to Root in that way, where it's like never dominant, but he also never really gets roughed up and usually is able to get you through. I mean, through 4 innings today. Definitely could have stretched him out if they needed, but I feel good about all 3 of those guys. I liked that Root, I think, ended up throwing like 98 pitches, but Gackle only throws 83. What did Beidelshees finish with? Finishes with 73. And so, I think all 3 of those guys are going to be pretty rested. They're going to face a much, much more dangerous lineup against Georgia. But I think this next week, will give us a real test for where this starting rotation is at and what they're capable of. Shout out to Corey Dubs, man. Appreciate the super chat. Says belt to ass, which is true. I mean, it's objectively what happened, man. And how about that, man? Yeah, belt to ass. Appreciate the super chat, man. And there's something to be said about just doing what you're supposed to do. There's nothing better as a sports fan than when you expect your team to whip ass and they whip ass. It's just great. Let's see. Thomas Varnell says, I'm conflicted on how I want number 1 and number 2 to look. On one hand, seeing Texas at number 1 is disgusting. But on the other hand, the number 1 curse happening for so many years still almost makes me not want to be number 1. Well, would it help if I told you that the number 1 overall seed won the title last year? That, of course, would be the Tennessee Volunteers. It was, so like maybe they kind of broke it. Maybe they didn't. But ultimately, like, I really don't think it matters. Like, I really think, like, you just got to go up there and show up. You just got to not shit the bed, which is what Arkansas has been doing. They've been doing it from the number 3 spot here lately. So maybe number 3 is actually where we should be avoiding things. Of course, Arkansas as the number 1 overall seed did shit the bed in 2021 as well. But overall, like it's just a number. It's kind of a cool thing to point to, but Arkansas's been ranked number 1 in a bunch of these seasons here lately. And, so maybe there is a little bit of a curse to it. I'm with you though, where like, it really doesn't, like, it's not going to be something that I lose sleep over one way or the other. Like if Arkansas gets ranked number 2 and Texas is number 1, I'm not going to throw a fit and be upset about it. If Arkansas is number 1, I'm not going to be upset because it's a curse. Like I think at this time of year, it really just doesn't mean much. It's just kind of something cool to say from a marketing standpoint. Hickory Hawk 94 says, Ellis is definitely in my top 3 for Inside Arkansas employees. Elite college baseball coverage, not just the best Arkansas pod, the best college baseball pod out there. Well, I appreciate you throwing me in the top 3 of Inside Arkansas employees. I'm either in the, I'm either top 3 or I'm in the bottom, the bottom 33%, whichever way you want to look at it. But appreciate that. And I appreciate you saying it's the best college baseball podcast out there. Got to be honest, there's just not a ton of college baseball podcasts. So I do appreciate that. I know there are a few decent ones. I know 11.7. I know those guys have been doing it for a while. I think Big Donkey has a college baseball podcast. But there's really I don't know if I have a ton of competition in that regard. Shout out to Musso at the box though. He's like the LSU version of me. That guy crushes it, man. Really, really impressive what he's been able to do. He does a great job. But I appreciate that, Hickory Hog. I really do. Mia Arnold says, Andrew, crazy question. I know we are 30-3, which is what makes this question crazy. Do we have the pitching staff to win it all in Omaha? Listen, to answer the question, I mean, I understand what you mean, because Arkansas, I would say that so far this season hasn't been like a lights out performance so far from the pitching staff all year long. The one thing I would say is, one, yes, they do in terms of just talent, in terms of just stuff, in terms of just the depth. Like Arkansas has the quantity, the quality. They have everything like on paper you need to be a good pitching staff in college baseball. They have on paper as good of a pitching staff as anyone in the country. And I don't mean on paper in terms of the actual numbers, although, by the way, the actual numbers after this weekend especially are actually pretty good. Like Arkansas's, I think they were number 3 in the SEC in ERA entering the weekend. That number 3 in the SEC looks good, but it's also like number 9 nationally. And I'm sure it's even better after this weekend. Like you look at the numbers, they're basically top 10 in a lot of the key pitching stats. I think they're like top 25 in strikeouts. So, I mean, Arkansas is good enough, sure. But really, I just mean if you look on paper of you have a guy in Zach Root who's, a experienced, pitched at this level, you can count on him type of guy. You have a guy in Gabe Gackle who's one of the top prospects in his class. Landon Beidelshe's another guy who's been a weekend starter at the Power 5 level. A guy in Gage Wood who's a top 250 prospect. Like they've got the good little mix of freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. You've got some prospects. You've got some kind of unknown guys under the radar. Arkansas certainly, by every metric you want to look at, has enough to win the College World Series. But at the end of the day, the game is not played on paper. Last year, Arkansas had the best pitcher in the country on paper, and then he had his worst career start in the biggest start of his career in the postseason. And so will they get it done? Remains to be seen. But on paper, Arkansas does have the pitching staff to win it all, especially with the way that this offense has been working, man. Yeah, and I see, Hog fan 40 ounces. I see a lot of Hog fans don't want that number one spot. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to blame them. Like, I get it. We feel like a cursed for fan base a little bit, and I feel like every sports fan base sort of feels that way a little bit. I get it, but ultimately, like, can we at least agree that it doesn't actually matter? Like, it's not a thing. Like, the Arkansas Razorbacks are going up there and they're like, crap, we have a number one next to our name. Oh, now we're going to get uptight and we're not going to swing. Like, I really, and if you, by the way, if you're around this team and you're around the players and you talk to anyone on the team, I can tell you, as little as we care about it, they really do not care. Like, there are not going to be anybody in that locker room who's going to be like refreshing D1 baseball tomorrow to see if they're number one. Like Cam Kojal said, nameless, faceless opponents. They don't put too much stock in where they're ranked. They don't put too much stock in where their opponent's ranked. Really good to see. Let's see. Smelliot says, wish Curtis was here so I could talk shit to him. Red Sox are putting belt to ass on his cards. Well, I'll tell you, you're not going to hurt Curtis's feelings if you talk bad about the Cardinals, who seems like they were off to a decent start last I checked, but he's been very upset with the front office, very upset with their spending tendencies and the way that they've done things. But so I don't think he would be too butthurt if you did, flex in his face a little bit. That's mean-spirited. It's mean-spirited. Let's see. Where are we at here? SCT says perfect game still won't have us number one. No, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what perfect game does. I bet they'll have Texas number one, like dead serious. But no, perfect game. They finally come around. Started preseason number 13, started from the bottom. Now here we are. Let's see. I see a few comments about Gackle here. Like Zeke Wilson says, I think he should still be the starter until Wood is back and 100% and then look at the rotation, but he's just not ready to start the game, and against the top end teams, we may never catch up. I mean, yeah, he definitely got to figure out the first inning thing, but I will say that's kind of a common theme with starting pitchers, like high level starting pitchers, even at the big league level. Like as an Astros fan, I've had a front row seat to a lot of high level starting pitchers. A lot of times when you're facing a guy like a Garrett Cole or a Justin Verlander or a Max Scherzer or whoever, a lot of people say the first inning is like when you got to get them. And so I'm not saying, hey, we should just, call it a wash. He's going to give up 3 runs in the first inning every game. I would just say that, like, it's not like the most uncommon crazy thing. And like I said earlier, it really wasn't like the first inning. I felt like if Souza makes that play, we're not even having this conversation at all. He would have probably finished out the game, gone 5 innings, only given up 1 run or whatever. Like, we really wouldn't be having this conversation. But your defense doesn't help you out. He's had some tough luck here and there. The zone was pretty tight. I didn't know how it looked on TV or if the TrackMan backed it up, but I know the zone was pretty tight in game 1 for both teams. And so just kind of the way it works. But but in terms of like Gackle's ability to go out there and be a starter, like I really don't think that should be in question. Like I think it's going to be one of those things. I remember having these same conversations, believe it or not, with people about Hagen Smith when he was a sophomore. There was a ton of people who were like, he just can't, Hagen Smith just can't start him. He just needs to be a closer. Just cannot start him. And look, I know that y'all are going to say, oh, Andrew, you're talking crazy. Hand to God, I remember being on the Hog Sports message boards and arguing with people about Hagen Smith and whether or not he would ever be able to be an effective starter. It's a tough thing to do starting in the SEC. And so Gackle's kind of having to learn on the job a little bit, but ultimately, I think he's going to be fine. And I also think he's been better than his numbers would indicate, particularly today. Shout out to Whitty. Shout out to Whitty, man. The $10 super chat says, Woo Pig Suey, enjoy the sweep. You're the man, Whitty. Appreciate you. And I will enjoy the sweep. I can assure you of that. Absolutely. Another super chat here from Lane Hedge, 1999, says, this team has Omaha written all over it. I can't endure another season of losing in the regionals or super regionals. This year will be different. Hopefully. This team certainly has Omaha written all over it. I'm with you, man. I really, really do not want to have to even entertain anything when my girlfriend or whoever it is says, hey, can we maybe do something June 17th, June 20th? And I'm always like, I got to go to Omaha. I'm planning to go to Omaha. It really sucks when your season ends on June 3rd and all of a sudden you're like, damn, now I don't have a way to get out of everything. Now I have to show up to things. Can't say no. It's just tough, man. It's a tough situation, but would definitely love to have my entire June booked. And I think this team, it's Omaha or bust no matter what. Like, obviously, it may be Natty or bust. Maybe that's how we should view it. But, like, if this team doesn't get back to Omaha, God, that would be a disaster. Like, it would be really hard to reconcile that in our brains. It would be really hard as a fan base for us to, get over that. You take each year in and of itself, you can kind of get over it. Like, TCU, you just run into a buzzsaw. Okay. Last year, you know what? The team really just didn't have the bats. Let's fix it in the portal. You can kind of get over that. If this team adds on top of that, that's 3 straight years of you being a national seed, I'm assuming, and not making it to Omaha or not even making it out of your regional. That's just, I don't know how you defend that, and it would be really tough. I don't want to have those conversations. And I really do think this team, from a skill set standpoint, certainly has what it takes to get to Omaha. But I also really like the mentality and just the way they approach things. And we'll see. There's going to be some bumps in the road up here coming with some of these tough games. But let's remember the ultimate goal, Omaha. Shout out to Angel, $5 super chat. By the way, Angel, me and John were actually talking about you today. So he went and got a Coke from this concession stand, and it was like the Cokes that had people's names on them. And he sat there for like 5 minutes looking for one with his name on it, and he couldn't find it. But you know what he did find? One that said Angel. And I was like, hey, shout out to Angel. That's our guy. Let's get it in honor of him. And so he ended up drinking a Coke that said your name on it. So shout out to you, man. Appreciate you for the super chat always. Shout out to David. He says, has there ever been an SEC series decided by run rule in all 3 games? I don't remember ever seeing that before. I also don't think I've ever seen that before. Although I guess technically, Arkansas won by 10 plus runs, but like technically these 2 games weren't decided by run rule because they were going to be 7-inning games no matter what. But either way, like I can't imagine there's been this type of margin of victory in 3 SEC games. 51-9 for the weekend is just ungodly. Like, that is just crazy stuff. I've never seen anything like that. We definitely, they were talking about it on the broadcast today. I think last year when Arkansas beat Missouri and they swept them, they took care of business. And I remember Missouri hit like a solo home run in like the 7th or 8th inning, and it was the first run of the weekend. And I think the final for the weekend ended up being like 22-1 or 23-1, like a full dominant ass kicking. That has nothing. Like, that is nothing compared to what Arkansas did this weekend. I mean, this is just a completely different level. Literally scored more than double the runs. Like, we always say, like, hey, Arkansas is always good in the regular season and then they choke in the postseason. And that is true. But I think we can all agree, like, what they're doing here is just kind of a like, this is a different level for sure. Escar Jimenez, which he did clarify, it is an S. That is that is not a typo. He says, was I oblivious to the bunt game last year, or is DBH embracing that in case our bats get cold? I mean, listen, they certainly, like, that was a big talking point in the offseason. Hell, that was a big talking point as soon as the season ended last year. They were like, hey, we got to find different ways to score. Arkansas's, they bunted here and there. Even still, like, even this year, Arkansas's near the bottom of the league in bunting, rate, successful sack bunts, all of that. Arkansas's had guys over the last 4 or 5 years, even further than that. Arkansas's had guys who would bunt their way on, like bunt when the third baseman was played back. And we saw Ryder Helfrich do that today. They've done a little bit of that here and there. So I would say you were oblivious to it. It's never been a big part of what they do, and it's still not a big part of what they do, but they've kind of always had it in their back pocket. We'll see if it's going to end up being really something they try and do a ton, or if it ends up being something they do in the postseason. I think they've always kind of taken that take what the defense gives you type of approach. And we saw it back-to-back times with Helfrich and Souza today. That was really cool to see. But they've had, like, Dominic Fletcher, sneaky, was a guy who would, like, bunt his way for a hit. He was a good bunter. When that third baseman would be played back, he would do it. They've had guys here and there who would do stuff like that. Although I would, like, I mean, for everybody, I've had a bunch of people who have been, like, trying to, like, do the gotcha thing where they're like, hey, I thought they were going to play small ball. They're playing small ball. Like I said, they're still near the bottom of the SEC. They are second to last in stolen bases. They're like third to last in bunting. They're not even that high in sacrifice flies. So it's still, like, not really a big feature of the offense, but it's cool to see them. I mean, last week we saw them win a game against Vanderbilt, doing some bunting in the 9th inning there. They'll do it here and there. It's something that they definitely want to have that capability, but like I've said all along, don't expect them to just all of a sudden be playing like Kentucky last year or anything like that. Let's see. A few more chats and then we're gonna get out of here. I gotta watch this White Lotus season finale, man. Gotta be tapped in for that, which starts in 9 minutes. But appreciate you guys for always being here and support, man. It's been awesome, been a lot of fun. Austin Hodge says, I think the only thing this team is missing is a true ace, but Root has been really, really good. Imagine Hagen on this team. Well, yeah, Hagen is certainly a different level. Like Arkansas might not have a Hagen for a long time. And look, I will say that's kind of been what we felt all offseason, where we were like, this team doesn't have a Hagen, but they have more than enough arms overall, like a deeper pitching staff overall. But I'm with you. Like, you definitely would like to have just that guy that week in and week out, you're getting 6 innings, you're probably getting 9 or 10 strikeouts. And Root, I definitely don't think qualifies as that. But I will say, you do know you're going to get, like, when Root takes the mound for you, he's going to work deep into the game. And so he doesn't have that same ace Hagen Smith type of feel where teams really fear him. But I will say, like, he is pretty consistent at, you just kind of know what you're getting. And I feel like you need that on Friday nights. He's kind of in the Blaine Knight mold. I know people view Blaine Knight as like this guy who is dominant. He never really was dominant. I mean, I think he even averaged fewer strikeouts. He didn't even average a strikeout per inning. Like, he was like a mid-3 ERA, get you deep into the ball game type of guy. And he was the Friday night starter on pretty much the best Arkansas team we've ever seen. I think Root is kind of in that echelon, even though he doesn't have the win-loss record that will support it. Let's see. Any other crazy chats? Anybody throwing money our way, man? No. Yeah, and I see a couple other people, JPM here says, has there ever been 3-run rules in a series? Not that I know of, man. Like, that's pretty crazy. This is definitely something crazy. Like, I've never seen anything like that, even against a team as bad as Missouri. And shout out to Addison, who says, yes, sir, about to head out for the White Lotus finale. Appreciate the content, Ellis. Yeah, man. I mean, literally, I just got a text from my girl, and I imagine it's probably about that. But yeah, 7:53, been an hour, 15 minutes. That's usually about what we go here. So I hope you don't feel like I'm leaving too much meat on the bone. But guys, seriously, I appreciate you guys coming and kicking it on another Sunday live stream edition. Glad my internet was able to hold up for this one. And it's a lot easier to do these whenever Arkansas kicks ass the way they did this weekend. So it's been a productive weekend for the Diamond Hogs. Going to continue to be a productive every day for the Baumbastic Podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with our official winners of the weekend, as we always do. And going to have another game on Tuesday against Arkansas State. And appreciate you guys, as always, for tapping in. Make sure you subscribe to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. Hopefully we'll be going live here soon to recap some Arkansas basketball portal action. We got to get that ball rolling a little bit. But, it's been another productive edition of the Baumbastic Podcast. Everybody have a great Sunday night. Woo damn pig.